Hello and welcome. Michael Caraccio here with another episode of Just My Honest Opinion. Want to definitely welcome everyone for tuning in. Um, I Before I get into the this episode's topic and such, I just want to thank those of you who have viewed and liked the previous videos that I've posted, and hope that if you're new here, that if you like this video, you'll see the other ones and also do your like. Just want to mention to everybody that it is really helpful and I'd really appreciate if you would register to Rumble and follow my Rumble channel. As you can see the URL there. If I get, I need quite a lot, quite a lot of followers and such for them to give me rights to adjust the URL to a more personal, uh, easier URL. So right now I have to use the one that they doled out to me. If you can, like I said, it really helps not only with the monetization of my channel, but it definitely helps with me being able to customize it better and get a few more features and such. So that would be a big help if you can get out there and become a follower. Thank you to those who have become followers. I greatly appreciate it. And I also appreciate everyone's feedback that I've gotten. And any future feedback that anyone gives me and stuff is greatly appreciated. You can agree, disagree, point out maybe something that I've either misspoke or might have incorrect and stuff that you might want to let me know. I'd appreciate it. And of course, I will take the time and such to actually have an episode and such to correct myself if you know, have proven yourself correct and I was wrong. I have no problems admitting when I'm wrong. But I say, please don't bring your feelings, bring your facts. If you have a more lengthy comment or feedback or two cents you want to apply that really is a little extensive and such, please use my email. Get in touch with me via my mjcgemini@verizon.net, and please make sure you have JMHO in the subject so that I don't miss your email, and I can definitely review it and get back to you as soon as possible. In those emails and such, you can give me recommendations or maybe, uh, topics, subjects, and such that you might want me to dedicate an episode to and such. I will definitely weigh it if it isn't already on my subject list, because how I usually uh, pick out my subjects and such. I try to keep some of them very general, but I will be over the next few weeks probably getting more narrowed down, specific, uh, directing towards more um, current events and such. But for the time being, I wanted to keep the subjects relatively general, just so that everybody understands and gets the idea and flavor of this video series and such that I've been publishing. So, again, thank you for your support and viewing, and I hope you will continue to, and hopefully get enough traffic. I'll probably see about doing a podcast and stuff that I can interact with you on more of a immediate live basis. All right, all of that said, moving on to the fact of the topic that I picked for this episode, has to do with again, most of my ideas I end up getting either off the news, but a lot of it I get uh, just on certain topics and stuff that I end up coming across on social media in different things, whether it's X or Facebook or such, or something somebody brings my attention that might be out there on TikTok or such. The topic for this episode and stuff has to do with term limits. and the term limits and such, whether they are a good idea and stuff for Congress and or the United States Supreme Court. So I don't think I can tackle that. And I tried thinking about it and such to kind of put them together, and because they're affecting two different uh, portions of our government and such, I wanted to kind of address them and stuff separately because I feel that they need to be. Um, because the fact that congressmen are elected and Supreme Court judges are appointed by the president of the United States and such kind of gives them a little bit different avenue, a little bit different, very different avenues and such of how they end up getting their offices. So to start off with, the majority of what I've heard out there and such is that, because there have been quote unquote career politicians that have been, you know, spending 20, 30 years in Congress, whether it's in the House of Representatives or as a senator. A lot of people say, that's the problem with government and such. People are there too long. There should be term limits. Um, I'm against term limits, and I'll give you the reason why. Two examples that come off the top of my head, and of course, because I like their style and I like their career and what they have been doing while they have been in office. One is Representative Jim Jordan in coming from the House of Representatives, and then there is Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana. Jim Jordan's from Ohio, and John Kennedy's from Louisiana. Senator John Kennedy. Uh, those two gentlemen and such, I feel, are in their positions and have run for the offices that they have because to me, they could definitely come across that they care about this country. Let me emphasize, yes, I understand, folks, that, I have to say, a Joe Biden, for instance, 50 years uh, in uh, public service, in being a senator and such, is a lot. Um, my general overall opinion is and such, if a state, uh, a district within the state likes the job of whoever is representing them, they should be allowed to vote them in as many times as they want. That's part of, again, we the people. Big on that. I don't think that we should be limiting really good politicians who are in it for the benefit and for their true drive of wanting to better our country. I'm not going to say that there aren't politicians out there and such who aren't self-centered. I'm not going to say that there are who are in it for themselves, who like the popularity, like the power that goes with it, the recognition. Um, Overall, I've also been of the opinion that, as time has gone on in reviewing of history to, more current, at least as long as I've been alive and such, um, being a politician in Washington, D.C. in particular, has become a profession. It hasn't become, it isn't in a way a calling like a police officer or a fireman or a priest or another religious lead has those callings to, be driven to need to be that supportive force Um, it really does come down to, uh, if you go back to, I would say, George Washington. George Washington had it down cold. He was there to serve the country, and then he was to get out of the way when he could do no more in the matter of uh, providing what the country needed. Uh, and he made that determination, which was absolutely magnificent. Looking back on our country's forefathers, even, they swore their life, their liberty, their property, and to each other, their loyalty when they were starting this country, building this country, getting it put together, and kind of launched uh, into the country that we ended up with now. I mean, they were there at the start. They didn't do it because they were going to get rich off of it. They were building a country. I mean, they were trying, and sometimes not only just building it, but they were trying to keep it and hold it together. They had their arguments, their disagreements, and such, but they saw the bigger picture at all times. Well, at least my opinion is and stuff was at all times. They were keeping that, and if they forgot, they were reminded. Somebody in their lives, whether it was a wife, sorry, had a little fly in here, whether it was a wife, a peer, someone close to them and such, a confidant, reminded them and such to kind of get them back on the track of, listen, we're building a country here and stuff. It can't be all about you. Um, it has to do with the majority, which is what our democracy really runs on, is a majority. Um, and the thing is that again, we have to they try to pay attention and make sure that they agreed on most things, and the things that they did not agree on and such did not cause destruction in to the country and harm it. I mean, we did go through a civil war in this country because there was disagreement of economics, and I'm not trying to diminish slavery. What I'm trying to say is slavery was a major economic uh, cog in the southern states, and it became the focal point of the Civil War, uh, of what the Civil War was about, uh, when Abraham Lincoln uh, public, put out the Emancipation Proclamation. So that kind of sealed the fate of, listen, this is about slavery and we have to end it and such. And it was preserving the Union. And the biggest fight was over the slavery and such, which, again, I think I've mentioned it in a couple of my other videos and such. We were an imperfect country. We still are, and we continue to strive to be better. And that's a major thing with our country. Of course, we had the civil rights through the 60s, 70s, primarily in the 60s and such. That again, there was that disagreement that uh, could have uh, destroyed this country. I mean, that we have been able to come out of the 60s and such, and the civil rights movement and everything, a better country, recognizing that, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had said and such, it's about a person's character. It's not about their color. I know I'm paraphrasing, but I think nowadays it does need to be said. And I think that the fact that, again, I'm sure anybody could sit and start shooting out bullet points or whatever and such on the different things that, we encountered as a country and stuff through our entire existence and such, that were disagreements. I mean, we're going through it now as a political, uh, our politics are in this country right now is, I feel, has caused more diversiveness than I think anybody has ever seen or heard of. I mean, this is, I'm not going to, the diverse, how divisive it has become in this country, again, is not a substance thing like slavery was uh, for the Civil War, or even the civil rights of the '60s. It now it's based on uh, uh, name calling. Um, it's who's more fascist than the other side's, the fascists. So we're not fascists. There may be fascists in this country and stuff, but they're the group is so small and minute and such. I don't think that the common American citizen and such is would be tolerant of it if they ever stood up and actually, took the mask off their face and raised their hand and said, "Hi, I'm a fascist." Fascist. It's not going to happen. We wouldn't stand for it. That's not what this country's founded on. That's not what I believe is the basis of people in this country. Um, they believe in our republic and our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, the things that we was spelled out in the Declaration of Independence of what we didn't like, why we had to be our own nation. I think we believe in that. We're not tyrants. We don't believe in tyrants, dictatorships. We are supposed to be a self-governing people, but we do need those representatives. And again, circling back to my original topic is having those representatives in place and stuff to help move our country along the path that the majority of the country wants to be, wants the country to have: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, our freedoms, our God-given rights. Um, you can go down the entire list, and the point is, and such is that if uh, a region, if a uh, state, section of the country and stuff have a representative or representatives that they believe in and are doing the job that is spelled out to maintain the Constitution and such, they should be able to, as long as that person wants to run for office and to continue to be a caretaker of our country. I think if the people of that state or such wants to keep electing that person in, let them run and let them run as often as they want. I wouldn't put a limit on, hey, okay, um, you had your 6 years as a senator. Move on, go find another job. We have to now go find another guy, or woman. It could be, again, it is a thing of, I think the limitation of the president having a limitation and such is a good thing, because that is a stressful, uh, taxing job in and of itself. I mean, you're not sharing the load. It pretty much, that's the only branch of our government that, in essence, the decisions or whatever fall on one man. House of Representatives and Congress and stuff. You have the House of Representatives. You have a whole bunch of people and stuff that you might be arguing with or whatever, but you can share the responsibilities of creating laws and representing the people. Same thing with the senators. In the Senate and such, you got 100 people there and such. You're able to share that burden, to talk things over with. I understand that the president and such has his cabinet that he can consult with and such, but when push comes to shove and stuff, it's going to fall on one man. So the 8 years, 2 terms that the president is limited to, is probably for their own good. If you want to look at it, I mean, Franklin Delano Roosevelt and stuff was in his just starting, I believe, his third term, before there was the term limit for the president and stuff, where he passed away. I mean, he was still involved in World War II. He had to make those decisions. I mean, the guy had polio. He was up there in years, and back then, um, you know, it still was a thing of driving yourself, uh, to be that one representative of our country, to be out in front, and again, making important life or death decisions, all falling on one person. It wears. I mean, if you want to kid yourself and say that stress doesn't wear on a person, you don't have enough stress in your life. I'm not being flippant about that and such, but if you have a good life that gives you as few stressors as possible, good for you. But I mean, really look at it. I mean, the guy is running the country, and all he's got is really him. He can take all the advice and recommendations and stack them up and put them on a scale and figure out, do we go through the left door or the right door, or head right down the middle. It'll fall on him, and if it's the wrong decision, it still falls on him. Uh, President Harry Truman had said it and says, "Oh, the buck stops here." He was a man of his word. He knew that when he made a decision and stuff, you couldn't blame his cabinet. You couldn't blame anybody else. It was his call to make as the president, and he understood the weight and the importance of his office. So again, like I said, I can see how you know maintaining and limiting the president's uh, term limits makes sense. Whereas applying that to the uh, Congress, which would be the House of Representatives or the Senate, I don't think it's fair to the American people. Again, if they have a representative that is doing the job that they want them to do and bringing in uh, positive funding from the federal government to their state, and he's quite honestly, like I said, doing a great job, standing out in front and such for causes or issues that that group of people from that state truly believe in. They should be allowed to elect that person as long as that person wants that office. And it can be a good thing, a very good thing, because you'll accumulate good politicians. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with that statement, or giving that title and stuff. That there's good politicians. I believe there are. Uh, Again, they're men. They're not perfect, but you can find the few good ones. Like I said, the few good ones that I kind of know that I off the cuff: Jim Jordan, John Kennedy. Um, the issue I feel that brings in the why I feel people want those limits are because there are some whoppers of politicians out there. And I think the residents or the citizens of the district or the state that puts these people into office, uh, I'm sorry to say and such, should be held in account. They should be accountable. I mean, outside of the person doing whatever they do as the politician, whoever the elected official is, if they do things incorrect, wrong, I mean, because there are so many, uh, it's what, over 420, forget what the number is off the top of my head. I had the number and it just escaped me. My apologies, but there's over 420 representatives in the House of Representatives. There's 100 senators, 2 from each state in the Senate. Um, those states, for the senators, those states should be held accountable in a sense with, and I'm not talking about if the politician, the senator is doing something sneaky and like, how would we know? I'm talking about if they're not doing a good job. Doing a good job, how would I define it? It has to do with not staying in the framework, into the guidelines, the boundaries of the Constitution. They swear to uphold and defend the Constitution. That's what they should be doing, as it's written, not as they want to interpret it. I'm sorry to say that if there's that glaring of an issue to our Constitution and such, there's a way to amend it. There's a way to correct it. There's a way of you know, getting it into a place that we need to be, even if you feel, that was then and this is now and times have changed. There's a way of doing it. You can't not do the work. And if they're not doing the work and they're just trying to wing it, and trying to, hey, I'll have to work too hard and stuff to get any kind of a change to the Constitution and stuff. So why don't we just make laws to alter things? No. That's why they're in the office. That's what they ran for. That's not a solid foundation, or going to continue to have the solid foundation that we were that was given to us. We're not going to be able to maintain it. So speaking on the Senate side and such, if they're not doing the job and staying within the confines of the Constitution, and they're not maybe politically apt enough to sway other senators and stuff to see a different point of view, to say, hey, this is something that's wrong, we need to fix it as a country. They may have to find, that the people of that state may need to find another senator representative to come around to fix it. Same thing ends up going over to the House of Representatives. You still apply that. You got over 420 people. You have multiple representatives from a state. I think each district may have their own. Each district within a state has their own needs, and they're sending that representative to help them with that needs. Well, I think that one representative should be working with, at least starting out, working with the other representatives of that state to say, hey, my district needs XYZ, and I need help getting that. And then it should expand out to look at other states' representatives out of the other districts that might have the same problems. I mean, just because we have miles that separate some states and stuff doesn't mean that that we don't have districts that are poor. We don't have districts and stuff that might not have sufficient funding for their schools. There are other, I'm sure, districts spread out through the United States, no matter where it is and stuff, that may not have enough social services, law enforcement, fire prevention. The list goes on and on. They need to work together. How they get to the end, that's where their skills are supposed to come in. And again, I always seem to, it always seems to come out in my head and stuff what Ronald Reagan had said is, we're not going to agree on everything. In politics, you don't agree on everything. If you can agree on 80% of the issues, you're a friend and an ally. It doesn't make you a 20% enemy. And that is how things are. We're not going to agree on absolutely everything. It's okay to disagree. That's the strength, believe it or not. I wouldn't use the last 10 years or so as our best example, but that's the fact that we disagree and stuff is, believe it or not, a strength of our country. We can disagree and we can find a way to work it out. And we do. We always have. I mean, sometimes it's been really bloody, like the Civil War. I mean, once we had the Civil War or anything and such, again, I'm no history major and stuff, but it didn't seem like anybody was really racing to try to bring racism back. I mean, not racism. Racism exists. It wasn't like anybody wanted was going to start a whole nother war in this country and stuff to bring back slavery. Okay, uh, I think once the Civil War happened, people stopped over time. Maybe not right away, but it did seem to stop over time and such. That slavery was never a good thing, and it was something never to be brought back. And obviously, here we are, almost 200 years later, and we haven't taken the step back like people have predicted, politicians have predicted and such, towards slavery again. I mean, we do have, sex trafficking going on. Uh, Again, that has to do with our open borders and such. We do have that going on. Is there racism? I don't think we have racism the way we had it 200 years ago. We have progressed beyond that. We're not a people who see color. We recognize color. We recognize differences. If we see it, if we hear it, we recognize it. Therefore, I'm not going to say that some people don't still have racism coursing through their veins, for all I know. But the thing is, and such, is that we're not what we used to be. Um, I I don't have a sense. I know if somebody is black. I know if somebody is Hispanic. I know if somebody is uh, Asian. But you know what? Are they a good person matters. And I think that mentality really mixes in with how people select their politicians. Is the thing is that oh, it's great, you're a woman of color, but are you a good person? Are you going to be a benefit to this country? Are you going to be an asset to this country? That's what I believe voters want from their politicians. Are you not, and I'm not talking about status quo. I'm talking about helping this country not only maintain its greatest parts and hang on to where we got it right and make sure that continues to function well, but help correct the things that still aren't right. The fact of maybe, yeah, we need to continue to make sure and keep an eye on racism and make sure it's going away. Uh, the health of children, the education of the children, of the general population, all of that. Of course, we need that. Everybody wants that. But the thing is that if you have whatever state, whatever district you're from in this entire country, if you have somebody who is really answered the bell and such, and is really, you feel, is doing the job and doing it for the good of the country, not just the good of your district, not just the good of your state, but also for the good of the country, you should be allowed to vote them into office and such until they don't want to do the job anymore. And I'm sure they would help you find their replacement, because they're going to have that legacy of, what, I put in my time for this country to strengthen it, to better it, to improve on it, to keep it strong. I have somebody and stuff that has those values and those has that commitment, and they're going to show you and say, that's why I'm endorsing this person. And I'm sure you'll be able to go, yeah, you know what, the similarities, it's practically, they're almost twins even. And that's how it should be. I feel it might be a little, you might be sitting there and going, yeah, well, it's a great dream there, Mike, but that ain't how it is. We allowed it to not be that. I mean, we allowed politicians to make our politics more complicated than they need to be. I mean, people who don't want us educated do not have our best interests. If they're not giving us the truth, they don't have our best interests in mind. That's how I feel. Um, if you know, they're not telling you what's really going on. If you, I mean, especially if your eyes see it, and you're asking the right questions and stuff, and they're not giving you the answers, they don't have your best interests in mind. They really don't. You know, I just feel that I'm sure there's people from Russia, there's people from certain countries in South America, like a Venezuela, people that have come here from Cuba. Um, you want to look at China? I, I mean, they're not honest with their people and such. And if their people go question anything, they're getting suppressed. That's true suppression. That's not democracy. They can make it look like democracy all they want, but those are dictators. Those are regimes. That's communism, socialism, and such. If socialism or communism or any other of the isms of their like that are similar to that, no matter what they want to paint them or whatever, were any good, there would be a lot more of them, and people wouldn't want to get away from them. Um, I mean, that's kind of obvious. I think the only people that want a communist or socialist are the ones that are benefiting from it, and the ones that are benefiting from it are the ones that are running it. Um, that's just how it comes. People want to keep their job in this country, running our country. Yeah, we're the employers. I mean, we're kind of the only country that has 330 plus million uh, bosses. I mean, and you know, the majority rules. Um, you water down the majority and stuff by letting other uh, ill-gotten gains and groups and not exactly the salt of the earth or cream of the crop and stuff that get into this country and stuff, however the hell it gets into this country. You don't maintain a good country and stuff, because then they're going to start wanting it to be uh, a watered down, weakened country and stuff, so that they can take it over. They can run it to their benefit. We're Americans. We're all in this together, and that's how it should be. Again, we might not agree on everything, but we should agree in such that we want our country to be free, and we want to be able to elect our officials who we feel best represent and do the job for the American people. We shouldn't limit their uh, time in their office to do that job if they're doing the job and they want to do the job. I know I'm repeating it, but I think it needs to be repeated because, you know, frustration brings people to say, damn it, let's limit them. Let's immediately limit. And it's like, no, but what do you do about you know, your guy sucks. The guy coming out of your district, the guy coming out of your state sucks. You want to limit his term and stuff, but what about the other states, the other districts and other states that have a guy that's really good? That's really, you know, even what you want to call bipartisan, who's that middle of the road guy, willing to work with both sides and stuff, sees things from both sides. Why can't the other state or the other districts within the other states, wherever they may be and stuff, keep the person that they want? Well, because your guy sucks, and that's how it shouldn't be. You should be voting out that guy. Listen, we gave you 2 years in the House of Representatives. You just didn't do what you said you were going to do. Or you didn't do it to our satisfactory. We have to go with somebody else. And then you vote them out, and you vote in somebody that you believe that's going to do it. Same thing with a senator. Listen, we gave you 6 years. Listen, you didn't cut it. You know, 6 years. Come on. We got to go with somebody else. You do it with your governors. You do what we can do with our mayors, our town councils, our school boards. They can, if they're doing a good job and stuff, let them do the job and stuff until they're done with it. Don't put a time limit on it. I wouldn't want somebody to put a time limit on me to say, "Hey, Mike, you know what? You've been doing an absolutely fantastic job and stuff, but time's up. Look at the time. You're out." We'd be looking for jobs and stuff every 4 or 5 years. Even though I know some people in the economy turn around and go, "Yeah," with the way the economy's gone a couple of times, they're going, "Yeah, that's what it feels like." I'm getting laid off every 2 or 3 years because the economy adjusts and the economy adjusts, and yeah, we want a little, stability. Um, I think everybody wants that stability, and I think our government should have that kind of stability at the congressional level. Um, they should work, and the job they should be judged on is not, how well they part their hair. You have to consider and stuff. Those folks, to me, how it's become and stuff. They're trying to hang on to their $100,000+ a year job. They're not here to do a good job because it's hard to do the job. And maybe they think, I don't know, or a person in the House of Representatives isn't being paid enough, or maybe somebody that's a senator isn't being paid enough. So they shouldn't have to work that hard, so that their job becomes politicking and running for office. No, that's not why we have them there. We need them to do the job that we need them to do. I don't want them packing 16 different topics and stuff into one bill and trying to get the law passed, because that's how come it seems nothing ever gets done. It's like somebody's trying to slip in, a curveball into every bill. They should be judged as, in a sense, you ran for office to uphold the Constitution, to represent this country, to do the best you can for this country. That's what you should be doing. And that's what you should be working on. Not who you can make look bad to make yourself look better so you can keep that 100,000 something $1,000 job, which to me a lot of them don't. They like the money. They like, the fringe benefits. They like the recognition. They like, you know, they lay it all out. They like the power. Um, and quite honestly, there's been politicians just in my lifetime that I could probably point at and stuff and turn around and say they wouldn't have been able to hack it out in the real world the way people like us could, to do the jobs that we've done, to come up that way and such, that all they could be is a politician. And like I said, I'm not saying all politicians are that way. You have some really great politicians out there and stuff who became lawyers, went through school, were excellent in their field. Private owners, they ran businesses or they created business and all of that. And you know what? I did that. Now I want to give back to the country that gave something to me, and they got into politics because they wanted to help continue keeping the country strong, so that the next generation or the next 2, 3 generations and such could come in and build a country, and not build a country, sustain the country, to strengthen it, to continue to strive towards a more perfect union, because they believed in it. And that's what I think us as Americans should be looking for and expecting and putting the terms on our politicians to produce. That's what they should be doing. So, with that said, I know that was a little long when I came to Congress because I don't want to run too more. I think everybody understands. I want to know what your point on. Keep it on Congress. Or if you can keep them separate like I'm trying to, please do. If you need to mash them together, do. Because the other thing becomes about the United States Supreme Court. These judges are supposed to be apolitical. They're supposed. I know. It becomes a thing of, well, did a Republican president or a Democratic president, select them and put put them into the Supreme Court. Supreme Court judges and stuff are uh, a lifetime term. I mean, putting time limits on those judges and such is not a good idea for kind of different reasons. On um, on the side of, because they're appointed, they're not elected. They I would have to say they're because they're supposed to really, they're a hell of a lot more stringent. Supposed to be, in my opinion, how I feel it was, how I learned and stuff was that they have to stick to the Constitution and the laws as they are. They're not in charge of what I'm sure some of you have heard. If this is the first time you're hearing the phrase and stuff, they're not supposed to litigate laws from the bench. They're supposed to just interpret the laws as they are. And that's exactly, really the armor of our republic. If we don't stick by the laws we have on the books, and it's supposed to be, what's good for one is good for all when it comes to our laws. If we don't stick to that and such, we're terrible. We're terrible. It doesn't feel like we've been doing that over the last decade or so. We really need to get back to it better. There has to be accountability from all angles, all sides, at every level. There needs to be accountability. Wrong comes in different flavors, but wrong is still wrong, and good kind of comes in different flavors too. But good is still good. I don't want to philosophically get into the question of, if a man steals a loaf of bread to feed his family, is he really doing a bad thing? I don't want to get into that philosophical argument, but the thing is and stuff is that the main point is to limit the Supreme Court justices' terms, kind of puts a clock on them. And again, when it comes to our laws, it has to do with they should be apolitical, but it seems that it's become more of a political thing than it really should be. I don't think I'm that naive. There is a certain political nuance to it. How somebody interprets something has to do with their opinions. They're not that, again, they're human too. Their opinions do seem to bleed into their decisions, and how they want to interpret the laws. But there are concrete things within the Constitution and such that I think all judges, no matter what political party affiliation or political party beliefs they may lean towards, when all is said and done, they should be going back to what the Constitution says. If it's hard-nosed, critical, etched in granite feeling by other people going, oh, you're interpreting the Constitution too literally. I would rather have judges, no matter what side they may be on, interpret the Constitution more literally than most people would, than I would them being a little lax and more interpretive of the Constitution. And the reason is again, becomes a thing of, is that their job is to interpret. Creating the laws is the job of the Congress. So if there is something on the books that is stringently being interpreted by the Supreme Court, it's up to the Congress to change it. So if Congress as a whole, a majority, turns around and says, excuse me, judges, but you interpreted so strictly the Constitution and such, we don't like that, the judges should not be held into account to change their opinion. They should be sitting there going, but if that's what it says, the Congress, whatever Congress it was, since the beginning of this country's existence, wrote that law, and that law's been on the books, and that's what it says, and that's how the law needs to be followed. It's not our job to go, hey, wait a minute, this law sounds wrong. It might, there's people out there who don't agree with this law. That's not our job, and we shouldn't be held accountable for interpreting for it what it says. I want them to interpret it as it says. What is there? If the law needs to be changed, modified, needs different wording, whatever it is, that's Congress's job. They need to do that. It's part of their job. Not politicking, not running for office all the time, not trying to just stay, relevant by, picking up the last propaganda. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, they just seem to be, I've had them, people that you work with and such. The hardest part of their job is looking busy. That's the only way I can describe sometimes some politicians, some Congress people that are there. It's like, do you truly know what your job is? Do you understand what this country is? I mean, really, besides the rigamarand and as they say, the word salad you throw out there and such. Can you even tell the truth? And there's been politicians over decades or whatever and such who you sit there and you look at them and you go, yeah, I get the feeling that if you ever told the truth, your tongue would snap out of your head. It's just like you just lie and fabricate so much. Give the facts, but the fact is and such is that's what judges are supposed to do. That's what the Supreme Court judges are ultimately supposed to do. And I honestly, I feel that way, up and down the board on the judicial side. That's what all judges should be. You know what? I don't like this guy, but if the evidence isn't there, he goes free. I really like this guy, but the evidence shows he's guilty. I have to put him in jail, or he has to have a punishment. Like, that's how a judge, it's not supposed to be easy. And it shouldn't be whether or not, based on whether or not the judge got his job, appointed to him, elected to him, or, which way he wants to part his hair, and whoever it is and such, whatever the law is and stuff, parts its hair the same way in a sense. It's just, it should be a thing of, but it's what the law says. And that might sound too black and white to people. I can moderate it to a point, but again, I don't think by limiting a justice terms, the Supreme Court justices' terms, is going to solidify or stabilize or make our country better. It's going to have potentially advocate type judges. And again, doesn't matter which side. Both sides have them. Any side has them. If they feel I only got 2 years, 4 years, 6, whatever they want to give them, a decade, they know that clock is ticking and such, they're going to try to decide on things and stuff based on how much time they got. And they're going to make decisions that are going to affect the entire country. And they're going to make, those types of jobs, and that isn't what it's supposed to be. Because that will weaken the Constitution. That'll weaken our legal system. If they're sitting there feeling the pressure of time even, they shouldn't be, again, sitting there trying to appease a political party over another. They shouldn't be choosing party over country. They should be choosing the people, and they should be standing by the laws. And if they stand by the laws, they're standing for the people. In every shape, way, and form. No matter what their race, sex, creed, color, you name it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they're standing by the laws that are on the books, that's what they should, and it should be a lifetime thing that they don't feel the pressure. That's one of the reasons why judges are not elected into the Supreme Court. Why they're not? Because then they feel they have to, you know, manipulate to get for the majority. That's the one place that the majority should not rule, because the majority already decided on what the laws are. You want me to put that together for you? The majority puts the people into the House of Representatives and the Senate. That's the majority. These are now the law creators. They're making the laws. They make the bills. They vote on the bills. They say, hey, this is what should be legal, illegal. This is what should be good for the country. This is what we don't want to happen because that'll be bad for the country. And they put those bills together. And then once they both houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate, agree and are able to find that, yes, this is a bill that we want turned into a law. They give it to the president, and the president says, okay, the majority of the people want this. I have no choice. If I want to stay in office and I want to run the country the right way and all of that, I have to sign this because the majority wants it. And that's how, in essence, it's supposed to work. I'm not saying it works that way. I'm saying in essence. And the bill becomes a law. So now the law is created. All the judicial side would need to do is to, of course, confirm, possibly, if there's any dispute and such, of whether or not the law is constitutional. Does it line up with the foundation of our country that's spelled out in the Constitution? If it does, it's a law. And then they should abide by that law and make sure everybody abides by that law, as the two houses of Congress and the president signing off on it stated it wanted it. And that's what you get. Do things change? Yes. Do populations change? Opinions change? Absolutely. The majority would then change and go, hey, remember that law that we made, that our grandparents made 50, 60 years ago? It doesn't apply here anymore. Or we don't need it anymore. Or can we alter it and stuff because now we have a different factor? Well, back to the freaking House of Representatives and the Senate and such to go, yeah, you know what? There was a law from 60 years ago and stuff that needs to be modified, needs to be looked at again, revoted on, rewritten, whatever it is, and then back to whoever that president is at that time who turns around. So you kind of get, that's what's supposed to happen. To sit there and say the judges are deciding laws is such a misstatement, and I see it an awful lot out there, and I'm going, no. But they shouldn't be on a time schedule either. Should there be a certain level of I don't know, so that, you know, I guess there should be, we hope, some sensibility in the people around a Supreme Court judge, that if they're getting up in years, I mean, if that, I'm sure if they love being a judge and such, they want to do it till the day we die. I mean, I think everybody would. If we have something that we really love, we want to, do it until the end of time, or at least the end of our time. But there should be a certain level and such that if they're not able to continue because of physical health, mental decline or such, I'm sure there very possibly is. I would have to believe that there is, that there's, I don't know, the other justices, can confer and can, have this kind of meeting and stuff, not talking behind another judge's back, but kind of go, hey, there's stuff going on. That, again, there can be a law and stuff that we can put in there and such that says, I don't know. And I'm just, like I said, I'm being kind of facetious right now, and I'm just being kind of metaphoric and hypothetical. And like, if your cholesterol goes and is maintained above the 300 level, I mean, by that time and stuff, you should be stroking out, and it maintains for like a year. you're not healthy enough to be a judge. There should be. And maybe there is, maybe there isn't, maybe there's, I don't know, some unwritten rule. Who knows? Maybe the unwritten rules should be written rules. But you don't want to end up having judges, in a sense, stay on the bench longer than they're able to function, to do their job. You would hope that they wouldn't. They would have family, they would have friends, confidants, peers, uh, that would be able to help them transition from that. I feel that, of course, the Supreme Court and such has always been, but it seems that it's just more, maybe because I'm paying better attention to it. It seems the whole politicalness of the Supreme Court and stuff has gotten out of hand and such, because the political parties are trying to angle a judge to be somebody who's more in line with their beliefs. And I would hope and pray that whoever the judges are go in with yeah, I'm kind of understand what you're talking about, but I need to interpret the law as is. Political parties, you're going to have to make a better case, and you're going to have to pass a bill to make it into a law and stuff to change it, because I can't do what you're asking me from the Supreme Court. It just shouldn't be going on as much. It's overly politicized. They can have their disagreements, the judges amongst themselves and stuff, but as long as they're staying within the law, God bless them. I mean, it's not an easy job to do. But you know what? We need them to stay, or to get, or try to maintain as much, not the appearance, but actually being apolitical, leaning neither side, understanding that there may be exceptions to the rules and all of that. We all get that. I would hope, just in the name of fairness. But we do need to have judges that are interpreting the laws that are there, not making up or trying to slant laws and such to favor a political party one way or the other. All right, so that's enough on those, and I hope everybody understands where I'm coming from with that. I'm going to say again and such, please, you can agree, disagree, give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. I don't think I'm getting quite as much feedback as I'd hoped for and stuff. I mean, I do get some personal little texts and such that they like, a video or two. But please go out, watch the video, give it a like, give it a thumbs down, even if you have to. The more feedback, the better I'll be at this. And maybe, like I said, here you go. I'm asking again. I'm practically begging. Please go out to Rumble. If you need to register and you're not a member of Rumble yet, please register. And please, above all, follow. Not only like the videos, but definitely please follow my channel, even if you don't follow any other channel on Rumble. The only way I can explain again, because I have been asked this again, why Rumble? Why not like a YouTube or TikTok or something? The simple reason is that the monetization and the control of my content and stuff seems to be more so in my hands from what I've reviewed on the others. And that's something I do like. The other is and such is that over time and stuff, the amount of material and such that has been altered or removed and taken down and such, the possibilities and such of having that kind of stuff removed or whatever from this platform as opposed to the other platforms and such, until the other platforms I feel become more stable on kind of leaving hands off and letting free speech be free speech. I would rather just stay on Rumble, and again, like I said, to become monetized and be able to have more control over my content and stuff seems to be more focused and more towards my ownership as opposed to Rumble's ownership or the platform's ownership. or control, is why I'm on Rumble and doing this. Maybe, like I said, over time and stuff, I'll put back up to YouTube and whatever and such. But I would really, truly appreciate if you just take a few minutes at some point and register and follow me on Rumble. That would be such a big help for me to get this out. And like I said, to open up me getting a little bit more editing uh, of like my URL and such. Is just an example on Rumble. If you have more extensive topic that you want to talk about, or you have more you want to add than just a comment won't do, please email me. Again, whether you agree, disagree, your point of view, you want to correct something maybe I said, possibly I've missed the bait. I'm not infallible. I do make mistakes. I think I try my hardest to think things out because I am a big advocate on thinking before I speak. Please email me at mjcgemini@verizon.net. And as I have in there, please make sure you put JMHO in the subject line of your email so that I know that it has to do with these videos and such, and I don't miss it, because I do have a really good filter set up to hear from you, and I don't want to end up missing your emails, and I do want to answer every email that I get and such the best I can. So yeah, that's about it for this episode. I want to thank everybody again. My name is Michael Caraccio, and please remember and keep in mind and stuff that anything I'm talking about on these videos is, just my honest opinion. Thank you. Have a good one.